Thanks very much for tuning in to Unmissable. I'm Nabila Jamal. As always, let me take you through the top news from India and across the globe. Let's start with the Meghalaya honeymoon murder, our top story on the day tonight. We're taking you through the detailed timeline on how this murder was pulled off by a lady who got married to this man and weeks later hatched a plan, allegedly with her boyfriend, to kill her husband on their honeymoon. And then we're going to take you through our story on Deep Dive as we're going to venture into a consumer court verdict where the court asked if vegetarians who claim that their religious sentiments are hurt must now avoid ordering from platforms that serve you mixed meat. If you have non-vegetarian on that restaurant or the menu available, why would you order if you're so worried about religious sentiments? More or less the verdict, and the court basically dismissing the petition, asking for compensation. And finally, we're looking at MS Dhoni, who is now being inducted in the ICC Hall of Fame. Indeed, a worthy honor for the cricketing great. Let me take you through all that news. As always, the headlines. India's biggest anti-terror push. In fact, we're looking at Operation Sindoor, a terror crackdown with Defence Minister Rajnath Singh highlighting, stressing Modi government, in fact, has strengthened national security and worked extensively over the last 11 years to protect the country. Twist in honeymoon murder case. Raja Raghuvanshi's brother says the cops told him that Sonam has killed Raja. High Court grills the police over selective arrests in Bengaluru stampede case. In fact, the court now gives Karnataka government a little time to come back with their version of the story. The court, of course, listening to a series of petitions asking why only they have been singled out and arrested while it was the government's responsibility to ensure law and order. The BJP now demanding Siddaramaia's resignation. The Congress in Karnataka has now decided to re-enumerate the caste data in Karnataka to address concerns. In effect now, a fresh caste census will be carried out by the Karnataka government. In fact, 10 years ago, a survey was done where the exchequer, it cost the exchequer nearly 165 crores to pull off that survey. The Congress now saying because people are not satisfied with the previous survey reports, we're going to carry out yet another one in a record 90 days' time. Meeting to be held tomorrow to decide on its progress. 18 crew members have been rescued from this burning ship off Kerala coast, which even now as I speak continues to blaze. In fact, 40% of the blaze has been doused while firefighters that include the Navy extensively, including INS Surat, that's currently on the spot trying to douse the fire. It seems a Herculean task for them. 2 crew members still missing. The Aam Aadmi Party has slammed the Delhi police for detaining former Chief Minister Atishi as she joined residents opposing eviction at Kalkaji's Bhumihin camp. Delhi cabinet clears an ordinance to regulate school fees. Education Minister Ashish Sood says that this is based on a 2025 bill. In fact, now schools cannot arbitrarily raise school fees. If they have to, they've got to give out a structured plan and reasons to why they're increasing fees. And also there's a limit to how much a school can increase school fees. This particularly centered to the state of Delhi. A 21-year-old former student opens fire at a school in Austria, killing 10 people, injuring 12 before taking his own life. We hear that the man happens to be a student of the same school who allegedly was bullied through his time at that school. And he went on a shooting spree, eventually killed himself in the same school's bathroom. And MS Dhoni becomes the 11th Indian to enter the ICC Hall of Fame, joining legends like Sachin, Dravid and Kapil. Dhoni there ecstatic, saying this will be etched for him in his memory, and this is the greatest honor for him, he says. right? The whole country talking about the most gory murder and the way it happened, the kind of betrayal. The Meghalaya honeymoon murder case that unravels a lot more specific details coming out on how the lady pulled off this crime. She killed her own husband with the help of her lover. Allegations still remain. We're waiting for police confirmation on the case, but from whatever we hear, as per police reports, this was the timeline. To take you through a quick look. The honeymoon murder that unravels, October 1st, 2024. We hear Raja and Sonam connected with one another through a matrimonial directory. In fact, yes, it was an arranged marriage, but the boy's family, Raja's family, found her in a matrimonial site which is centered around their community, and that's where they chose Sonam. On 11th of May 2025, the couple decided to get married in Indore. We hear there were claims that Sonam did not want to marry, she was not willing, but finally because of family pressure, she got into it. May 20th, Raja and Sonam left for their honeymoon in Meghalaya. And 22nd, they reached Sohra, rented a bike there in Shillong. In fact, they were seen going about their time quite as normally as a couple would in their honeymoon. That's one of the CCTV footage there, showing the couple renting out a bike and moving around the areas of Shillong. On the 23rd of May, both went missing. There was no contact with both of them, Raja or Sonam. In fact, a local guide we hear last saw them with 3 unidentified men. On May 24th, contact was lost with the family entirely. By May 27th, a bag was found near the couple's abandoned rented bike, which made the police a little suspicious about their whereabouts, whether this couple there was safe, if something had happened to them, because they were just not to be found anywhere. June 2nd, Raja's body was found in a gorge with machete wounds on the head. And by June 4th, his body was brought back to Indore. On June 9th, his wife, Sonam, surprisingly showed up in Uttar Pradesh at a dhaba, and she was arrested soon after. In fact, we hear she tried to speak to the dhaba employees there, saying that she has no idea how she landed up in UP, that she was unconscious, and here she is. There was a bid to steal from her. She does not know where her husband is, and she basically she was unconscious and she does not know how she's wandered into Uttar Pradesh. These are the claims she made with the dhaba employees there. On June 9th, the police who had Sonam in their custody staged a video call with this man, Raj Kushwaha. And that's when Sonam cracked. Raj Kushwaha happens to be Sonam's boyfriend. And he also was by then in police custody. Sonam orchestrated this murder. That's what police sources claim. 12 days after they got married, she pulled off this crime with such ease. Actually hired contract killers through her boyfriend, had them come over all the way to Meghalaya and murder her husband. She was allegedly in a relationship with Raj Kushwaha for quite a while. The man, the second face you see on our screens there right after Sonam is Raj Kushwaha. In fact, we hear Raj Kushwaha was a billing staffer and was working at her father's factory. Raj allegedly arranged for 3 hired killers to travel all the way from Madhya Pradesh to Meghalaya on the 17th of May, after conversing with Sonam, of course. A machete that's not very commonly used in that region was also recovered, which all the more pointed at an outsider's hand. The cops were very fast, swung into action, and ensured this crime was cracked. They managed to actually uncover a lot of details in this case much earlier on itself. Raja's head had 2 sharp wounds, front and back, inflicted with that same machete. And Raj Kushwaha, we hear in some of the visuals that were seen, Raj Kushwaha was also holding the father of Raja and taking him all the way to the funeral. In fact, Raja's father, and there you have it, visuals there, of Sonam's father and Raja's father, both were pacified by Raj Kushwaha. Raj Kushwaha just manages to come into the funeral of Raja, and then in that video he's very clearly seen helping the family members of Raja and Sonam, trying to pacify them, acting like just another helper. So real mastermind there, Raj Kushwaha. the marked face there is really the man who's orchestrated this crime. Sonam had shared her location with Raj during the honeymoon. In fact, he pulled off this crime with 2 other people. They've all been arrested. We hear that Sonam tried to pretend like as if there was a jewelry theft that happened on her and Raja. She had carried about 9 lakh rupees and jewelry worth lakhs with her to her honeymoon in Meghalaya. Wonder why? But well, clearly now we know that this was orchestrated. She planned this entire fake robbery and then pretended as if she was targeted by a group of men who attacked her and her husband and then drugged her and left her somewhere far away in Uttar Pradesh. Now the police caught Raj first and then staged this video confrontation with Sonam, which led to her confessing, her breaking down and whatnot. Now we hear details of the police investigation claim that Sonam's parents knew about her illicit affair with this man. They tried to push her into swearing ties with him. She promised she'd never talk to Raj again, but clearly this is what happened. She would not confess to her family members, but she was willing to kill. That's how far she went. This brutal tale of deception, conspiracy, murder. Now, growing political pressure as well on this case, where family members are demanding a CBI probe to see if there's a larger, bigger conspiracy around this. The final word on justice is still awaited. What can be called one of the darkest chapters in so-called honeymoon. Now let me take you through the Bengaluru stampede case. We're looking at the Karnataka government at this point in a spot with several questions being raised about who gave the final permission to carry out that big celebratory event that killed 11 people in Bengaluru stampede. A lot of finger pointing and blame game that happened today. In fact, in a temporary relief, though, the Congress-led Karnataka government has been given some time by the Karnataka High Court that allowed the government to submit its response in a day's time in a sealed cover in connection with the deadly stampede. The High Court had taken up the matter suo moto. It had issued a notice to the Karnataka government to explain how this tragedy occurred and what preventive measures were taken to ensure that this could have been avoided. Importantly, the court questioned the authority under which the Central Crime Branch arrested RCB marketing head Nikhil Sosle, even though the case had already by then been handed over to the CID. In fact, the court was very much hearing the pleas filed by Nikhil Sosle's advocate, saying that he was arrested arbitrarily, in haste, while law and order is a state subject and it was the state's responsibility. He had nothing to do with it. A lot of explanation that Nikhil Sosle's counsel had given to court, but the court at this point has refused to give him any relief as yet. They're waiting for the Karnataka government's version, and that version will come in a day's time in a sealed envelope. The advocate of Nikhil Sosle, of course, claimed that Karnataka government was very well in the know of this big event, and yet they partook in that event wholeheartedly. Why should Nikhil Sosle then be singled out? This is what he said. He claimed that these arrests were only being made as pressure tactics by the Chief Minister Sidramaya, because actually he's guilty of being part of that celebration, because this entire, according to Nikhil Sosle's counsel, this entire event happened with the government's consent. Now, let me take you through another angle here. The KSCA, Karnataka State Cricket Association, that's also now being blamed for not having written permission to carry out this event. So, the council there also very clearly observing that KSCA is also to be blamed for allowing an event like this to happen without proper coordination with the police and the government. Now, speaking specifically about the petitions, Nikhil Sosle, one of them who has filed a petition against his arrest, he calls this arrest as illegal entirely. A lot will now be riding on that sealed submission that will soon be handed over to the Karnataka High Court. The Congress High Command, meanwhile, has summoned Karnataka Chief Minister Sidramaya and Deputy Chief Minister for a discussion on the Bengaluru stampede incident. In fact, the Congress High Command has decided at this point to wait for legal proceedings to unfold, not paying heed to the BJP's demands for Sidramaya to resign. Well, yes, BJP at this point, lapping this up, demanding Sidramaya must take responsibility and resign. In fact, the BJP has clearly said if this does not happen, they're going to hold a massive protest march at Freedom Park. This is B.Y. Vijendra, the BJP president in Karnataka, who claims their protest will be so huge they will demand for the resignation of Chief Minister Siddaramaiah, and his house will also be ghered out. That's the warning BJP has given with regards to the Bengaluru stampede case.
CM and PCC President briefed the leadership about the incident and the action taken by the government on post-incident. Certainly, we are very much concerned about every human life. We are the party are very much matter about the human life. Unfortunately, an incident happened. Anyway, government of Karnataka has already ordered a judicial inquiry to find out what exactly happened. During the course of judicial inquiry, party didn't want to involve into the nitty-gritty of the issue. But generally, party has clearly viewed that there should be a clear-cut pro-people attitude on this issue also.
Now taking you through big news that's coming in from Karnataka. The state government of Karnataka has now decided to go through a fresh round of caste census. This decision comes amid persistent doubts over accuracy and sanctity of the previous caste survey that was conducted 10 years ago. Always been a point of contention. Now the Karnataka Congress has decided they are going to conduct another round of a caste survey. They say they are keen on ensuring fairness, inclusivity, and thus have ordered this fresh caste survey, which they promise will be completed within a record 60 to 90 days' time. Let's hear it. DK Shivkumar himself promising that.
Today we had a meeting. Our ICC president, our leader of the opposition, Shri Rahul ji, and our two general secretaries, Mr. Venugopal and Sujiwala ji, had summoned us, myself and the Chief Minister. We had a big meeting on the political developments of Karnataka about the recent incident which happened at the stadium and how to take forward of Karnataka politics. And there was a caste census which the backward class report. Basically, we have been fully aware that our agenda is to see that all sections of the society has been protected. The backward class report will be accepted without any complication, but there was some lot of problems on the numbers of on the caste which has been declared. So we will give an opportunity. The party has directed my Chief Minister and us to see that we give an opportunity to every section of the society. Once again, they will be given an opportunity of 60 or 90 days. My Chief Minister will announce the date because we have to work out. Lot of officials will be involved in this process. So we doesn't want any of them to be left out. We will give an opportunity to them, even who are outside the Karnataka also.
Well, Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah will be holding a crucial meeting with this regard tomorrow to strategize a re-enumeration process, basically a caste survey that will be conducted yet again. This contentious report is key agenda setter that will in fact take precedence for a thorough debate in a special cabinet meeting that is scheduled for June 12th, where the basic details on how this will go about will be discussed. The need for a caste survey yet again has come about after 10 years of unsatisfactory responses, with people saying that this socio-economic and educational survey did not do justice to the actual communities who claim that they are more in number and that they were never consulted. The caste survey that the state government had claimed to do, many of the people within the Lingayat and the Veerashaiva communities claim that nobody even knocked at their doors to check what their community was or what community they belonged to, and therefore this was just a superficial survey which wasn't thorough, wasn't in depth. So powerful communities now, particularly the Veerashaiva Lingayats and Vokkaligas, have alleged the previous caste census significantly undercounted their population. raising fears about their representation and potential impact on reservation policies. They've labelled the earlier process as unscientific, citing issues like insufficient household coverage and misclassification of subcastes. Now, this skepticism is that really basically led to this report being announced yet again by DK Shivkumar. Remember, this caste survey that was carried out 10 years ago costed the state exchequer 165 crores. Now, they're going to do yet another one, but we're really hoping this time at least it's more comprehensive and they use digital tools to do it, precisely what the Akhila Bharata Veerashaiva Mahasabha has also demanded. In fact, they welcomed this move publicly. The General Secretary, H.M. Renuka Prasanna, reiterated that the Mahasabha's consistent stance, saying that the previous survey was not scientific, and now they hope that fresh modern methods are used to carry out this caste survey. And basically, people's Aadhaar cards are checked, precise identification is done by leveraging some advanced technologies, AI intelligence, data analysis. This is how they want a caste survey to go about, not door-to-door writing down in a book. Basically, that's the modern method of a caste survey, and community is now hoping that the Congress government in Karnataka indulges in that, more modern ways of a caste survey. The goal of this survey, of course, is to ensure no community is overlooked and policies are framed precisely as per the caste size or the community size with this robust, accurate data. All eyes now will be on this crucial exercise.
We did discuss about the current political situation, including the unfortunate or tragic incident which happened in Dwarka. CM and ICC President briefed the leadership about the incident and the action taken by the government on post-incident. Certainly, we are very much concerned about every human life. We are the party are very much matter about the human life. Unfortunately, the incident happened. Anyway, government of Karnataka has already ordered a judicial inquiry to find out what exactly happened.
All right, a very tragic story that emerged early on today in Dwarka, a residential building that caught fire, devastating fire in the national capital. Unfortunately, 3 members of the family, including 2 children, lost their lives as they had no other place to run, eventually jumped off that burning building in Dwarka. These are the visuals that emerged early on today, 10 a.m. The Shapath Society near MRV School, Sector 13 of Delhi, Dwarka. Flames engulfed the 8th and 9th floors, the apartment, which had 5 members of a family living. In fact, visuals from the scene show windows spewing thick smoke and blaze and people actually trying to jump off. Very, very tragic. We hear Yash Yadav, who's a 35-year-old businessman, lost his life while he jumped. His 2 children, twins, son and daughter, both 10-year-old, jumped in panic from the balcony. All 3 were rushed to the nearby hospital, but sadly were declared dead. Yash Yadav's wife, though, and elder son survived, currently undergoing treatment at the IGI hospital. Authorities deployed 8 fire tenders, even a sky lift for evacuation. But by then, sadly, the family had to face this tragedy. That's the visual there. Mother survives, the daughter sadly died. While residents on the lower floors escaped quite quickly, those on the upper floors were fully stranded. It took hours for the fire tenders to douse the flames. Residents now have been evacuated. Power, gas lines have all been cut off to ensure that the blaze does not catch on. The exact cause of the fire, though, is still unknown. Now, big story that has really jolted the Goa government. The Goa health minister, who berated a senior doctor in full public, has now come out to apologize. Doctors at the Goa Medical College and Hospital have finally withdrawn their agitation against the state health minister, Vishwajit Rane, following intervention by the Chief Minister Pramod Sawant himself. I'm going to play out some of the visuals of the protests there, where Goa doctors were protesting on how the Goa health minister, Vishwajit, literally schooled a senior doctor without giving him a chance to speak. That's the visual of the protest there, where they raised slogans demanding that the health minister apologize to the doctor in public and in person. Only then will this protest end. In fact, the health minister said, I've already apologized on national television. I'm not going to apologize once more. So this protest continued for the last 2 days. Finally, you had the Goa Chief Minister landing up at the GMCH hospital and promised that he will ensure all the doctors' demands are met and managed to convince the doctors to withdraw the protest. Now, taking you through a recap here, a quick look at what really happened. Health Minister Vishwajit Rane, Health Minister of Goa, really kicked up a storm after he yelled, scolded, I can use many adjectives here, the Chief Medical Officer of the Goa Hospital, allegedly because that doctor, his name Kutikar, reportedly refused to give a vitamin B12 injection to a 77-year-old lady who happens to be the mother-in-law of a journalist. And because he denied that injection for whatever reason, we hear the doctor says that there were some regulations that weren't followed, or at that point they weren't able to give that injection. But nonetheless, the health minister refused to hear him out, and in moments he promised that chief medical officer will be suspended from his job. I'm going to take you through a quick glimpse as to what happened, how the health minister of Goa yelled at that doctor, which has now got the medical fraternity up in arms against the politician.
अरे who's the CMO here? CMO कौन है? CMO कौन है? Who's the CMO? Where is the CMO? All of you, where is the CMO? Where is he? Call him. तू CMO? तुम्ही उलोवपाक सारखे रीत आहे ना? आता प्रेसाचो एक मनीस आयल्लो इंजेक्शन मागपाक, you cannot guide him properly. You learn to control your tongue. You're a doctor. Don't force me to act. Put your hands out first when you're standing in front of me. I generally don't lose my cool. But you have to behave yourself. However much you're loaded, you will talk properly to the patient. And guide the patient. Urban health center and चल, हांगा चल म्हण. तू कित्याक रावला हांगा मागीर? कित्या खातीर जॉब घेता गव्हर्मेंटान? उलोवपाक रीत आसूंक जाय तुका. तू डॉक्टर तू. मास्क काड पयली, म्हाका तोंड पळोवंक जाय तुजें. सांबाळून एका सस्पेन्शन ऑर्डर काडात and kick him out from here. These doctors don't understand unless you understand you're here to serve humanity. You're not here with your bloody ego. I said I am telling you what I am saying. You're not authorized to speak when I am speaking. You please go. दूसरा CMO गला, I'll issue the note for suspension. You get out from here. That's it. Out from here. And don't report back, because as long as it's in me, not in you. You're a doctor to serve the poor people here. I am suspending you. When the inquiry is initiated, you give your explanation. Eka suspension, I want him relieved right now from here. Ask him to get out from here. भाषा हांव वापरता एकदम नरम. And German, I am telling you, you listen. Go home. Go home.
Well, that's the Goa Health Minister schooling Dr. Rudresh Kutikar, which did not bode well with the medical fraternity, quite naturally. Let's hear it from the doctor himself, what he had to say.
So our demand is that, because of that incident, is that we require public apology in the casualty itself. The Honorable Minister should come and apologize in the casualty. That is our demand.
So any deadline you all have given?
No, we have not given deadline, but it should be immediately. Yeah. On that 7th, actually, as per the incident, it was nothing. Someone relative came asking to give an injection, or just a vitamin B12 injection. Vitamin B12 injection, where she came in emergency department, is not part of an emergency injection. I have seen the video, but it is a studio apology. So we demand all the doctors that.
All right. Well, let me cut across now to Kerala. We're looking at a ship, yet another one that's erupted in flames, and a big threat now to marine life there, as there are concerns of an oil spill. Yet again, in barely a few weeks, this is the second ship along the Kerala coast. India's Coast Guard is firefighting a massive blaze aboard a container ship that's threatening to sink about 15 nautical miles off the Kerala coast as search now continues for 2 crew members who are still missing. Out of the 22, 18 have been rescued. We hear 2 of them are missing. 2 to 3 of them, that confirmation yet to come in. Flames and towering plumes of diesel smoke that continue to rise from that Singaporean flagged MV Wanhai 503 that's said to be tilting 10 to 15 degrees in water. In the latest, official sources say that 40% of the fire has been controlled, but it still poses immense danger. Efforts are currently on to tow the vessel as deep as possible to the outer sea to avoid any impact on the coast. Explosions were heard this morning as well, more than 24 hours after the Indian Coast Guard responded to distress calls and firefighting efforts panned out. We hear even this morning there were explosions, which means that there was combustible material on board that ship. Wonder what there is. That clarity has not yet come in, but there's huge concerns of dangers to marine life there. The Chinese embassy in India has confirmed that 14 Chinese crew members, including 6 from island of Taiwan, were on board the container ship that exploded near Kerala. In fact, the biggest concern right now as the firefighting continues is that the blaze could impact the structural integrity of the vessel, which may cause it to break up and sink completely into the sea. In such a situation, there could be an oil spillage, as the vessel we hear contains nearly 2,000 tons of fuel oil. The extent of its impact on marine environment remains to be seen, as the situation is currently evolving, as blaze itself hasn't yet been contained. This incident is particularly challenging for fishermen in the region, as they've endured a loss of valuable fishing days for the past few days, 1 due to extreme weather conditions, and 2, and the biggest issue, is the first ship that sank, the Liberian flagged MSC Elsa 3, that also capsized along the Kochi coast, that also spilled oil. And we wonder what else was there on that ship, because the areas there, the coastal areas, people very concerned that they have plastic remnants washing up on the coastal line there, entering their homes. And apart from that, what other hazardous material was there on that ship, they still are unaware. So this is the second round, another incident that's happened right along Kerala's coast that's really doomed the coastal community in that region at this point. They're really urgently and desperately hoping for the government to step in and help in every way possible. Now, taking through the United States, anti-immigration protests there that now escalates, never seen before since at least Trump took over. Tensions now that could be seen rampant in Los Angeles, where we saw protests over immigration raids entering its 5th day. What began as outrage over immigration and customs enforcement, ICE as it's called, targeting Latino neighborhoods, has now spiraled into a national flashpoint. President Donald Trump has now deployed 700 Marines to LA, sparking outrage from the California governor, Gavin Newsom, who says and vows that this is first of all against the country's ethos, and the fact that Trump deployed 700 Marines, he will now face legal action. The governor slams the move as dictatorial fantasy. He says federal troops were sent without the state's permission, and therefore he will fight legally against Trump. Demonstrations here has spread all the way to Tampa, Boston, Houston, New York. We know that Trump has been cracking down hectically on immigrants across race, across divisions. In fact, this crackdown also brings in sharp focus on deportation of Indian students, particularly the one that we saw that happened at the New Jersey airport, New York airport. Indian ministry has now formally raised this matter with the US Embassy in New Delhi. Indian Embassy in Washington, D.C. and the Indian Consulate in New York have also been in touch with the US authorities to ascertain details of that boy, an Indian student from Haryana, who was pinned to the floor at the airport itself, and there's still no clarification on as to why he was deported. We hear that Some reports claim that he wasn't able to fully establish why he had arrived in the United States. Nonetheless, the way with which he was pinned to the floor, treated like a criminal, you have Indian Embassy now stepping in, asking for details to be given on what happened. So looking at these protests escalate here, of course, India concerned about Indians in the United States, particularly Indian students. So far, from January to now, United States has deported nearly 1,080 Indians from the United States for various reasons, either being part of protests, not being able to speak decent English, or being able to explain themselves as to why they're in the United States, or for their social media posts, or taking a side on the Gaza-Israel war. Anything could be a reason, or nothing could be a reason for deportation. At least these are claims made by people who have suffered at the hands of the police and the crackdown. This is the image and visual here we're showing you of that Haryana boy just a few days ago, where he was detained at the Newark airport. As soon as he landed, in few hours he was deported. But the way and fashion with which the police dealt with him, pinning him down to the floor, treating him like a hardened criminal, we yet are not able to establish what was so wrong and what was so criminal of this boy to have been treated in this fashion. And finally, another alarming case of biological material smuggling involving a Chinese national has surfaced in the United States. It's raising serious concerns about biosecurity and foreign interference in American research institutes. A Chinese PhD student from Wuhan has been arrested in the United States for allegedly smuggling biological materials tied to parasitic roundworms and then lying to federal authorities about it. FBI arrested Shenghuan Han, a researcher at the Hosang University of Science and Technology, after she landed at the Detroit Metropolitan Airport on June 8th. Prosecutors say that Han mailed 4 suspicious packages from China to a University of Michigan lab, hiding the samples in ordinary items, including a book. Authorities say that she wiped her electronic devices just days before entering the country, a move seen as a deliberate attempt to obstruct the investigation. Remember, this raises a lot of concerns because, first of all, the world thinks that the COVID-19 virus was man-made, that was designed in a lab in Wuhan. And from the same very area of Wuhan, you have this researcher trying to smuggle in something as dangerous. This girl here who smuggled this, Han, allegedly denies of having any knowledge of the shipments that she has brought in from China. Initially, she, of course, denied to know any details that the police submitted to her. Eventually, she did confess. This is now the 3rd arrest involving Chinese nationals in Michigan in just 2 weeks, part of what the FBI calls a broader crackdown on illegal biomaterial trafficking linked to Chinese Communist Party. On that note, I'm going to slip into a short break. We'll be right back with a very pertinent question that a consumer court in Mumbai asked. If you're so worried about religious sentiments being hurt, why would you order from a restaurant that serves you mixed meat? If you're a thorough vegetarian, avoid ordering from a place that also serves non-veg. Is this the right approach? We're going to take you through with our panelists on the other side. Stay with us.
Silence of the night, where the roads carry.
Let there be dark. Scorpio and Carbon is here, the big daddy of SUVs.
जो पहले से चल रहा है वही लगाना था.
इनको जमाने से पीछे चलने दो. आप चुनो नया बिरला ओपस पेंट्स.
He plainly tried to internationalize the Kashmir issue.
We know as a matter of fact that it was Pakistan that ran to America.
West seems to disregard anything that doesn't affect it directly.
Donald Trump is trying to tell the world that I am the savior.
He has no business of speaking about Kashmir. There's a Russian reality, there's an American reality, but I suppose there is also an Indian reality.
Pakistan will test you time and again on this particular issue.
We have actually struck harder, wider and deeper.
The escalation happened, so be it.
India must not make the same mistake again.
Welcome back. Let me take you through this very interesting hearing by a Mumbai Consumer Court. We're going to delve into a rather pointed ruling here from the Mumbai Consumer Court that has sparked discussion about consumer responsibility and religious dietary practices. The case involves two complainants who sued popular fast food joint Bao Momo of a hefty 6 lakhs. Their claim was that their religious sentiments were deeply hurt after allegedly being served chicken momos when they had ordered for vegetarian. The duo identified themselves as strictly vegetarian, but the Mumbai Consumer Court wasn't swayed by their plea. In a rather pointed question, the court effectively dismissed their case. The court's central question to the complainants was this. I'm going to quote. The court said, "Why order from a mixed menu if your faith forbids meat?" Now, this crucial inquiry highlights the court's perspective on the case, of course. The court's dismissal wasn't arbitrary. It noted that the complainants, despite identifying as strictly vegetarian, chose to order from a restaurant that clearly serves both vegetarian and non-vegetarian food. Bao Momo, like many popular eateries, openly offers a diverse menu catering to various dietary preferences, including meat options. In a sense, the court now implies a level of due diligence is expected from the consumer side as well, especially when their dietary restrictions are based on deeply held religious beliefs. When opting for a restaurant that publicly serves both categories, the onus is partly on the complainants to exercise caution or choose an establishment exclusively catering to vegetarian food. Now, this ruling does serve as an important reminder. While businesses have a responsibility to accurately serve what's ordered, consumers also bear a degree of responsibility in their choice, particularly when those choices intersect with personal or religious mandates. Then they've got to make a thorough choice. If you are going ahead ordering from a restaurant that serves both vegetarian and non-vegetarian, then do expect an element of error. That's more or less what the court said as it dismissed the 6 lakh claim that was made by these two petitioners, reinforcing that the idea simply was wrong. While it was inconvenient surely for them, it also at the same point, at the same time, expected the consumers there to have shown a degree of responsibility by not ordering from a place that served non-vegetarian. I have asked this question to people on my social platforms as well, asking our followers at News9 on what they think of this court's ruling. I have with me, though, to delve a little deeper, Professor Bijan Mishra, consumer policy expert, joining us. We also have Ankur Chawla, consultant, food and beverage, founder, Scope Beverages, to give us a little more. I will get to our consumer policy expert first. Professor Bijan Mishra, this is certainly a decision by court that will set precedent, because we know many vegetarians get outraged by receiving non-veg food if they've ordered veg. Lots of such cases at consumer courts claiming that I ordered vegetarian but I received non-vegetarian. This is a complete dharam brasht. Now the court has set the record straight, that saying, why have you ordered from a place that serves non-veg then? If it's so sacred and you're so worried about not touching non-veg, you shouldn't be ordering from a non-vegetarian restaurant. Is this a decision in the right direction in your view?
Nabila, thanks for inviting me. In my view, it's not the right decision. The award needs to be challenged. And we should go for appeal. The consumer must go for appeal, because nobody can be denied their right to choice. If I wish to go to a restaurant which is serving me non-vegetarian food, it does not mean that I should be served vegetarian when I am a vegetarian and I am strictly giving an order which is a vegetarian food. So which means there is a clear-cut deficiency of service where the person who took the order goofed up And when he goofed up, then that means it is definitely a clear case of deficiency in service, which has damaged the consumer in terms of his religious sentiment. And it's a very serious issue. So I don't think what the district commission has given as an order is right. That's according to my personal knowledge. I feel it should go for an appeal, number one. Number two, what do you mean by evidence? The evidence means that the consumer should, at that point of time, what I can see, the mistake he did was he should have brought in two eminent people as witnesses to this case. Then he could have created evidence.
We hear he claimed that there was a puja going on, and at the puja, while in the middle of the puja, we ordered food, and while we were performing the puja, the food came, and then we ate those the momos that was non-vegetarian, and that really deeply hurt our religious faith and sentiments. So the court had asked them to provide some details about the puja, who's your pandit, the name of the pandit. All of that was asked from those petitioners, and they couldn't really give substantial answers.
Well, that is not the only way to create an evidence. The evidence is that whatever has happened, that should be recorded in a manner that it is credible, it is tenable. And the court cannot just wash off saying, oh, they forgot to tell me the name of the pandit. Come on now. Name of the pandit is not that important to create an evidence. The evidence is that they were served with non-vegetarian food, and it is also become evident that they were compensated they were given some refund. So the refund itself is an evidence. That why did they give a refund? If they had no deficiency in service, then the service provider should have stuck to their gun and said, no, you're not eligible for a refund. Why did they give a refund to the consumer in that case? So in my view, the case is a clear-cut case where it should go for appeal. This is my view, and is my personal view.
Well, Ankur Chawla, I'd like to ask you a clear-cut question. Could now the pressure of providing proof will move from the restaurant to the consumer. This more or less is going to be the repercussion of this, one of which has been highlighted here by experts, that this is actually wrong precedent. Would you believe so?
Well, Navina, thanks for having me, on the show. Firstly, let me tell you, we are from the hospitality trade. The idea is to serve customer and to make sure that, the clients or the customer or the guest, as we say, are always happy. We are working day in, day out, even on, religious holidays and stuff. So intentionally, nobody would want to do it. Let's just, sort of get that straight out of the question.
But this ruling will make it more lax for the restaurants. Restaurants are going to be more relaxed.
No, it's not like that. It's definitely, see, bigger the company, and particularly, let's say, talking about Wow Momos, you're talking about 500 plus minus outlets, right? Maybe, I think 600 and plus, right?
Does that cut them any slack?
That's what I'm saying. The policies at that level are strong. You're not talking about one single owned restaurant. Even then, having said that, I'm not denying the fact that there are no mistakes. There are mistakes that have happened, but there are enough and more areas where one can look at the proofs. They have ordered food from an online source, maybe, right? The invoice has come with it. The invoice will clearly say if it is a vegetarian and non-vegetarian. I ordered on an average, recently I've ordered from Wow Momo as well. There are stickers to prove, it's a green mark or a red mark. So there are enough and more. There are cameras. Also, I think having said all of that, even if the customer would have directly gone to, let's say, the brand rather than going to the court, there would have been better, solutions for that matter. Like sir mentioned, I think refund is something that a brand doesn't think too much about, and they're like, okay, no problem, if there was a complaint, if there was a miscommunication, we are still, into hospitality. But there are enough and more proofs. I think with due respect, again, there is a bit of power that has come to the consumer as well. And I've seen myself, consumers arm twisting the brands. Asking for a 3 lakh rupees, 6 lakh rupees of a refund would not really, cut the slack over there as well, right? Again, as I said, I am coming from the hospitality trade as well. I believe that there could have been better ways to handle the complaint, but asking for 3 lakh rupees, 6 lakh rupees, just because, you ordered for, you ordered for a vegetarian thing. you would see the invoice, right? You would see the SOPs, right? It's not that somebody would have done it intentionally, for sure.
You know, we did put out a poll question asking if this ruling was favorable and if there should be precedent that those ordering from a restaurant that also serves meat should not really cry foul if there's a mix-up. And I have nearly 60% of those who voted say restaurants must ensure zero mix-up. They can't escape from their responsibility.
Absolutely, I'm completely with you.
So more number of people refusing to accept what the Mumbai Consumer Court said, saying that the responsibility is on the restaurant. But how difficult is it, Ankur Chawla? Tell us a little about the responsibility that, of course, you said restaurants wouldn't do it on purpose, but how difficult is it at times when there is a mix-up, you've got to pacify your customer and that doesn't go as per desired, they get to courts to sue you, a large sum of money that you'll have to eventually spend. What are the ways and measures to control this outcome?
Look, there are enough and more measures and there are enough and more digitalization, SOP management in the entire space that is going on right now. So there is no way that I am saying that if I am a vegetarian, I should not go to a place which is also serving non-veg. Of course, it is the responsibility of the outlet or of that particular brand to make sure that there is no mix-up. And that's the reason you see whenever you go, like I go to a lot of restaurants right now, particularly the back areas, the kitchens, you will see the deep fryers completely different for a vegetarian and non-vegetarian. You go to Japanese restaurant, you see teppanyaki counters, one side veg, one side non-veg. So of course the effort coming from a brand or a restaurant is enough and more when it comes to, making sure a vegetarian and a non-vegetarian is not, sort of getting mixed together. Not only with regards to religious sentiment, but also with regards to allergies and stuff. There are a lot of people these days who are, let's say, allergic to shellfish. So if you mix it up, of course there is a big problem that you're looking at. As I said, I respect religious sentiments, but I am more bothered or more concerned about, as a restaurant owner, I'm more concerned about allergies. I'm more concerned about the scientific repercussions that can actually happen. So all restaurants, all bars, all hotels in the country right now are trying to follow it as much. But as I said, it's a service industry. I am not denying the fact that there are, issues that actually crop up over the period of time. But
and this is possibly the most common issue, and the most violated are Indians who are vegetarian and are religious. There are so many such cases in courts, and I'm assuming that there are already set guidelines in consumer courts on how they treat cases that come to them with regards to hurting of religious sentiments, which is why, sir, I'll bring you in. You have a word to say and give us a little clarity on what are the guidelines, and have those guidelines been interpreted in this case by the Mumbai Consumer Court? Bijan Mishra.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. You see, I go fully with Ankur. Ankur is very sensitive. He understands what the consumer wants. And as you know, all over the world now, they're very particular about your allergies, about, certain, services which are specifically for certain kind of customers which you have to ensure. But what I want to tell Ankur is, it is high time your members took a very strong kind of a intervention in promoting mediation. You see, in the new Consumer Protection Act of 2019, which Modi ji has brought, he has devoted a full chapter on mediation. The District Commission should have gone for that, in my view. The District Commission did not go for mediation, but straight away rejected the case, which was not right. That is why I am repeatedly saying it's a fit case to go for appeal, because the consumer should have been given a chance for mediation. Yes, I agree with Ankur. Sometimes it's abnormal, the compensation asked by some of the consumers. It's not justifiable. But it's the court's duty, it's the commission's duty to give a justifiable compensation to the consumer and close the matter rather than allowing it to go for an appeal. And that is why mediation is the best process. Ankur's association, Ankur, I suggest to you, start a mediation kind of an activity within the restaurants in India. I am now talking to you from London.
Sir,
and I have been watching.
Thank you very much. Sir, I do want to ask you, is there no responsibility then on consumers? What if it turns out to be a case of extortion? Why is the responsibility entirely on the restaurant itself? And if the restaurant is serving veg and non-veg, then consumer also should be responsible on where we've got to order from.
No, that is why I am saying there should be a credible person brought in to mediate, to tell the consumer that, look, you are not right and appropriate in asking such kind of a compensation. And the consumer will feel happy and comfortable when he sees that there is a person of repute in his community who has been brought in as a mediator. So what my contention is, today the alternative dispute resolutions, if you look at the case, it was, a complaint was made in 2020 and today we are in 2024. And when we made the Consumer Protection Act of 1986, we wanted disposables to be done in 45 days. Now you imagine a consumer who wants prompt justice has been made to wait for 4 years. So what I'm trying to say, the consumers are also willing, in my view, barring a few, there are always black sheep everywhere. So what my contention is, we should educate consumers. We should make them aware. We should make them responsible so that they don't blackmail anybody or tries to do things which are not ethical. Okay. So I'm only trying to say that the court, the district commission could have given a more robust order. This is my personal view. But of course, the consumer has the opportunity to go for an appeal, and the consumer should go for an appeal asking for an arbitration or some kind of a mechanism where the compensation looks justified.
All right,
and that is where I come in saying that is the responsibility of the consumer.
Consumers really have another lease of life here. If they want to appeal, they can appeal. It's a fit case for that. Thanks very much, Bijan Mishra and Ankur, both of you, for taking your time out. And as I wrap here, I'm going to leave you with this proud moment for Indian cricket as one of the most iconic figures. Mahendra Singh Dhoni has been officially inducted into the prestigious ICC Hall of Fame. The announcement came a day ago, and this marks a significant milestone in the legendary cricketer's journey. With this honour, Dhoni becomes the 11th Indian player to receive the accolade, joining the ranks of some of the greatest names in the game. Well, he's played 538 matches, amassing a staggering 17,266 runs, completing 829 dismissals behind the stumps, an outstanding reflection of both his batting prowess and wicketing excellence. His top score of 224 in tests and 183 not out in ODIs has etched cricketing history alongside his 16 international centuries and 108 50s. Dhoni says this is a memory that will live on with him. He thanks everyone for this honour. Thanks very much for joining us on Unmissable tonight. I will be here same place, same time tomorrow. Have a great night.
$2.5 lakh strong legacy and counting. Join the big league with the XUV 700 with celebratory offers up to Rs 75,000.
Is life transactional by any chance?
Of course. Everything in the creation affects everything else.
I think the existential question that all of us grapple with, that who am I?
From being somebody to becoming nobody is the first step in enlightenment.
Our identity in the life that we carry is primarily with the work that we do.
I would say you are just nothing but
quantum energy.
I fail to understand that why do we have to have so many religions?
Religion has its own value. When they are lonely, when they feel depressed, they need a place to go to. And that is how religion is still valid, I would say.
What is your assessment for a country over the last 77 years?
We have the talents. We need to take care of the mental health and emotional well-being of our people.
AI is going to be any risk for the society?
It depends on the user. You can use it for good or you can use to harm the society.
I'm feeling extremely blessed. I'm sitting across the table with you. That itself tells me that I might have done a lot of things correct in my life. This is a rare privilege for me, Gurudev.
Watch Duologue with Barun Das, Season 3, featuring Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankar at these times on News9. News9, English news as
This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News9, English news as it should be.
Minister Narendra Modi meets the members of the multi-party delegations who led the global outreach on India's anti-terror stance post the Pahalgam terror attack. Members shared their experiences with the Prime Minister. Exclusive footages all coming your way. Stay tuned. Meanwhile, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar warns Pakistan, says India can strike deep into Pakistan if provoked by terrorist attacks. The Congress party decides to re-enumerate Karnataka's caste survey after some communities said they were left out of the one that was done 10 years ago. "18 people rescued from the blaze-hit container ship brought to Bengaluru by INS Surat. Cargo manifest handed over to Kerala government for further preventive actions. Hazardous material in those containers. The ship still adrift." Meanwhile, the Goa Medical College doctors have withdrawn their agitation against Health Minister Vishwajit Rane after Chief Minister of the state Pramod Sawant's intervention. The Delhi cabinet clears ordinance to regulate school fees in the Union Territory. Education Minister Ashish Sood says it's based on the 2025 bill. Delhi records the first heat wave as temperature crosses the 45°C mark. IMD issues orange alert for Delhi till the 11th of June. At least 10 killed and several others injured in a school shooting incident in the southern Austrian city of Graz. And the World Bank has cut its 2025 global growth forecast to 2.3%, citing higher tariffs and the rising uncertainty as major hurdles for most economies. All right then, our top focus this news wheel, and we've got exclusive footages for the same. Prime Minister Narendra Modi met members of the multi-party MP delegations who had travelled to the world capitals across the globe to convey India's strong stand against Pakistan-linked terrorism following Operation Sindoor and the terror attack in Pahalgam. Take a look at some of those evening visuals from 7 LKM. Of course, you've got the Prime Minister and the meet and greet session with all the delegations that made their way. Ghulam Nabi Azad, who had to cut short his trip, he was earlier admitted in Kuwait. He had to be hospitalized on the occasion of poor health. And you've got Manish Tiwari, you've got the Congress leaders, Shashi Tharoor, who himself was the floor leader of a particular delegation with the Prime Minister, as you can see. And of course, you've got Mr. Khurshid, who